Kate Rawls has this amazing piece of advice, which is you need to tackle the climate crisis in the way that makes you feel most alive, which is just the best advice ever. When I wrote my dissertation, looking at the roots of where the ecological and climate crisis has come from historically, one of the things that came out of it was this idea of stories, which is basically how we view everything. These like background narratives in our brain, and the idea of needing a completely new story of who we are as human beings, how we relate to each other, how we are in the world of nature, but also telling people's stories individually. New story, those two words are just kind of everything that we need, and you can also find them everywhere.
I think I'm expecting it to be extremely hard. Well, I'm going over the Central Balkans, which is the highest bit of the Comamine, and I have to do 27 kilometers a day, which is quite a lot, for 5 days. It wouldn't be a problem if it was one day. Yeah. And there's not that much water, so I have to carry a lot of water, which makes it heavy. And I'm already quite tired.
I was really academic at school, and when you're academic, it's kind of like there's another story of like where you're going to go in life. You're going to do like an intelligent job, which is probably behind a computer, you know, with like spreadsheets and stuff. I just think it's kind of weird that we do that. Like, it's not normal to go from your house, then sit in front of a computer for 8 hours, and then go home and sit some more, and maybe, you know, try and do a run for like 1 hour of the day, and that's the only active thing you've done. Days can so easily just disappear. Sometimes time feels like it's speeding up, like it's just going and going and going, and you're like, what did I even do? I was working with the 2050 climate group, who was to do with empowering young people to take action on the climate crisis. I still just kept thinking, we're working on an issue which is so connected to humans and their relationship in nature, but we're trying to tackle it from sitting in an office for 8 hours a day. We're missing something. That's not how you should be living. It just felt like I wasn't doing what I should be doing, like I was kind of in the wrong place. After university, I was going to try and do a big trip. And I'd read books like Alistair Humphreys about him cycling around the world, and Kate Rawls, who cycled across America talking to people about climate change. I knew I wanted to set off from home, from the Lake District, and have some kind of purpose. But initially, I didn't want to have an endpoint. I spoke to some like local reporters, and I'd kind of said maybe Mongolia, but then there was like headlines saying Rosie is running to Mongolia, and it just kind of became Mongolia. I was kind of like, well, I do want to go there, so I may as well go there. My parents were away on holiday. I was at their house, and I kind of just got my bag, put it on, set off, and thought, this is ridiculously heavy. Actually, when I set off, I thought it would take a year. I didn't even know how far away Mongolia was. The idea of the News Story Run is telling people's individual stories of just how they're trying to make the world better by showing different things that are possible, like a big variety of different things that are creatively challenging the old story. I try and get into those issues in the conversations and then talk about them in my writing. When I pictured the trip, I was like, yeah, like one smooth, beautiful trail all the way to Mongolia. And there is so much road. There is so much space, especially in Western Europe, that is just no nice bits left. These endless fields and agricultural land or roads. You can't just skip to the good bits. You have to do everything in these footsteps over and over again.
I am now walking on an unknown track, which may or may not lead to where I want to go.
Coming over the Alps, there was a massive snow dump really early in the winter, so it cut off all the trails. So then I was stuck on the big alpine roads where they just have the crash barriers and then a cliff. For ages and ages, I just had to walk over the roads because everything else was completely covered in snow. That went on for a week. That was a really hard week. It just seemed to be endless. Sometimes you get into like a negative spiral. It's so hard. Like, it's so hard. Like, that's all that's in my head.
The water pipe's dry. I need to check the map. I think there's another one, but it depends if that has water. And if not, then I'm a bit screwed.
I kind of realise how hard it is, and it's not fun unless you're up for it. Pretty much any country I go to, I know that people will try and help me. Whenever someone kind of takes me into their house and ends up being really nice. I think that's what's kept me going for the whole thing. And that's been the most interesting and fun bit about it, is the meetings where you hadn't planned it at all. You just kind of said to someone, is there someone I can camp around here when it's getting dark? There's been loads of moments of the trip where you have to challenge your own stereotypes. Like, some people might be like, oh, like a lone man in a village, it's dangerous, you're a young woman, whatever. Everyone would say things like, oh, I wouldn't let my daughter do that, or do you not carry pepper spray? Like, throughout the trip, my whole stereotype of that's been challenged, and everyone's been really nice and kind of looked after me. I started the trip completely on my own. I formed the idea and set off. Me and Mike were already a couple, but he'd gone off to China for an unknown amount of time.
I started from Vienna in Austria because it was going to coincide with Rosie being roughly in Austria. At first, when I saw her doing it, I was like, shit, I should have done that.
And he kind of said, could I join?
I can maybe follow her, and if people think, oh, that's lame, if he's following someone, then that's fine, that they can think that. And, I mean, it's true.
Initially, I was a bit like, whoa, this is my thing. I've made this.
In theory, I'm going faster than her, although she's a bit more organised and driven, whereas I sort of dawdle and meander.
Me and Mike met at Christmas in Croatia, and we were just swimming in the sea every day. And every day, there were beautiful sunsets. It would just turn the whole sea red and orange.
It's perfect the way it's working out, and having our own stories and our own adventures.
I think it's really helped as a whole meet more people and bring more stories.
The people who are leading the destruction and the climate crisis, to have people not believe that people care or that people are doing things to make a better world. There is so much happening out there that if you put it all together, then people would be more empowered to see that, okay, there is point in me trying because so many other people are trying.
In the conversations I have, I try to kind of connect to the deeper level. So, for example, in the grand scheme of the climate crisis, how we see people who are refugees, or even the term that's used, and how that's portrayed in the media, and how people will react to that word, that all plays into it. It's only in the last few months I've really thought about it, is this endless hospitality. How much of that is because, like, that narrative of you're a white person, a British person, you're more important. I was trying to hitch to this town, so I got a lift to the border. Someone just took me there. They weren't actually going that way. They just saw me trying to hitch and were like, where are you going? I'll take you to the border. Went through the border and was trying to hitch. away. And I met these two Syrian guys who'd been kicked out of Kosovo, and they didn't know what they were going to do, but they were asking me like, where's the next town? We go with you? And I was like, yeah, sure. They were really nice. I was like, yeah, sure. I'll ask if they can take you. Then this policeman saw us chatting, comes over, tells them to back off. And he's like, why you talk to them? Bad people, Syria, bad people. That narrative of there being a hierarchy, it just relates to everything, because it relates to humans and nature. It relates to just the mindset of being able to exploit, whether it's humans or the environment. Like I said with Kate Rawls' advice, tackle it in the way that makes you feel most alive. That's the bit I think I wasn't doing. I'm being outside all the time, I'm running, and I'm doing something about the climate crisis. Those are the three main things I want to do. Even though there's points where you have no idea how you're going to carry on or make it to the end of the day, like it's really hard, I'd still rather be here than anywhere else. I wouldn't change that for anything. If you want to do something about this and you're thinking about your career, if you're passionate about making a difference in the climate crisis, you don't have to work in sustainability. You just do whatever you want, because everything needs changing.